childhood, growing and developing years of a person, this is meant to be a highly important time to create morals, fundamentals, and skills necessary to be a success. Instead, the trauma CPS creates in these young minds set a path of disaster, and statistics prove it. In nearly 90% of their cases, the trauma is unnecessary. Time is the one thing that can never be given back. CPS takes away moments in life that can't be replaced. The time just keeps going, doesn't mean a thing anymore. They left as children, and it's up to them when they come home if they know who you are. Each second away is time you will never get back and keep getting older.
Studies are leading towards incarceration.
Now comes the honorable judge in the halls of justice, where the Constitution will hold strong, and your rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness will trample CPS for all they have done to your child.
The truth and corruption that's revealed to you is enough to make you sick. This is not America we were sold.
Children are being taken from families at the rate of one a minute. It needs to be stopped.
It's time to wake up and abolish CPS.
In the United States, CPS makes upwards of $3 billion per day on trafficking and selling our children. The corruption may start with the caseworker, but goes through the judicial system, passing the governor through the Senate and into the White House. The entire system has a hand in the business known as CPS.
Our children are stolen every minute of a 24-hour day. They are being robbed of their innocence, their trust, their happiness. As parents, we are isolated and betrayed by a government we trust. States are balancing budgets on kids' lives. Only 12% of the kids taken will be reunified. Title IV funding is being riveted with fraud.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this Friday night edition of CPS Victims Hunting Justice. I am your host, the CPS Punisher. It is Friday night, and we have an interesting show for you tonight. We have the guests coming in shortly here. I just want to let everybody know that please remember these things that we have told you about CPS coming to your homes this weekend, as we don't see you guys for a couple of days. It is very important that you remember these things. It's very important that you remember that you don't have to let them into your house without a warrant. It's very important to remember to call a lawyer immediately when CPS comes knocking. It's very important to remember that when the police come there, that they're there only to act as an overseer, if you will, to make sure that crimes are not being committed on either side. They are not there to enforce anything. You need to remember your rights, because when it comes to it, guys, there's not going to be anybody there to help you but you. So you need to stay calm, stay together, and remember these things that we teach you. It is so important. And if I would have known what I know now when this happened to me, my daughter would still be here with us right now. So we spend our time letting you guys know what you can do, these little ins and outs or these stories. That way you guys keep your kids next to you at all times. So please remember this stuff, guys. It's very, very important. As always, we've got the chat right here. You guys, please, right there. Put your comments up, your questions, whatever you got, we will answer them for you. It's a good time to take advantage of these good things. We have Charles with us tonight. We have Melissa with us. We also have some guests joining us, but it's a good time to take advantage of these things. Because it is a scary thing when CPS comes to your door and knocks. Everything just stops. Your life stops. It's a moment that you never hope to witness in your life, and something that you'll always prepare for. And, we can all say that we would do whatever we would if someone came to take our kids, but it seems like most of us don't when it happens. So we're here to tell you guys that it's okay to do that. Make sure that you do it. And, that these things are important. So I'm going to bring out Melissa and Charles now. Melissa and Charles, how you guys doing tonight?
It's been another day in Alabama paradise.
Ooh, that's right. You're in the South still. Well, you're always in the South, but
he's always in the South. He's just in a politer version of the South.
Deep what are you saying? That people are rude down there?
No, here they're in a hurry to get nowhere quick.
Yeah, well, that's what it's like up here in the North. Everybody's in a hurry to get nowhere. Even the courts up here, right? Even the courts up here are in a hurry to get nowhere. Hurry up and take your kids.
I'm not sure what the courts up there are doing. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
A lot of things don't make a lot of sense. It doesn't make a lot of sense that they can even do this and allow this to continue with all of the people that are crying out and all of the people that are speaking out against what's going on. How is it that these courts are allowing this to continue, this kidnapping, as if you will, this stealing of children? I mean, it's by me that, we tell these people all of these things that you can do and to help and everything, but it doesn't seem like things are working. I mean, do you guys see that? Are you guys seeing like we're trying and we're pushing and we're doing all these things, but is anything working? Is any of these things that we're telling people coming to fruition and making a difference?
Well, not really, because it's national policy.
Okay, so what are we going to do about this? What is the next step here that we need to take?
Well, everybody's got to stop being reasonable and compliant. I mean, it's time to take radical action, and to when you see that the court systems are not working, basically fight hard enough that they cannot work at all. And I mean, I'm here discussing with parties who shall remain nameless because we don't have any final decisions yet, but I'm telling people that where the Alabama courts don't work, and where they have consistently not worked, take radical steps, make radical allegations like I was suggesting last night, and remove the federal court and prevent the court from the state courts from acting at all, and try to get as much publicity as possible so that they can't knock you off. I mean, you've got to go to your local papers. You can't just rely on the internet, which is so easy to manipulate. You need to notify your representatives and your local local mayor and anybody that you can reach. Basically, tell them what is going on and tell them that the courts are not reliable, and so you're having to take radical steps. And I mentioned last night the possibility that even if it seems marginal, that perhaps you should make racial allegations, because that is one thing that the court cannot ignore. Lots of lawyers are afraid to talk about that. Lots of parties are afraid to talk about that.
Right.
But once you say things, the reason that people are so scared about it is because it is something you have to take seriously once it's said. The civil rights laws were all built around race and not around this, but the rights of parents. But if the rights to procreate and maintain families are being interfered with, guess what? Whatever race you are, that's going to prevent your race from evolving, from developing.
Right. Now you're saying that because we could say that they're by taking our children and not letting them know what their heritage is. Is that what you're? Is that
It's not well. Obviously, the right to care, custody, and nurturing includes the right to educate and teach values. I mean, that's always been a big part of my thing, is that you have to be able to pass on values from from parents to children. And one of the saddest things that we're seeing is the degree to which the interference with family is destroying values.
Right.
Again, people get depressed. Kids get depressed. They turn to drugs, alcohol, and sex. And because those are the great opiates. Those are things that make them forget the pain of not having parents and children around. And that means that the only comfort they have is basically hedonistic pleasure and the complete abrogation of values. How are they going to, develop any kind of moral philosophy, any kind of, whether it's Christianity or something else? If their home is destroyed, then that means that their ability to go to church, their ability to go to school, their ability to have any kind of continuity at the feet of their grandparents, all of that is destroyed. And that was the goal of communism from the early 19th century on. They want to destroy the old world. I mean, the Chinese talk about the Maoist Chinese talked about destroying the five olds, but it goes back to Marx and Engels in 1848. They want all traditional values, especially the family, because the family was the basis for the holding of private property. And all of these things that are being lost. I mean, where families are being destroyed, private property is being broken up. You have what's the even meaning of private property if you don't have a stable family solution?
And that's exactly what they're doing. That's all they're doing is once they take your kids, they've taken number one, they've taken your pride, they've taken your heart, they've taken your soul, they've taken everything. You now don't have a job, because you've been put through this ringer with all of these people, with what CPS has asked you to do, or if you're just too damn depressed to even get up and go to work. Like, how do you work a 40-hour week? How do you go to work when all you do is wonder about your child? Where is your child? What's going on with them? How is they being affected? How are they being treated? Because you don't stop being a parent ever, whether they've terminated your parental rights, whether you're in the battle with them. You don't do that. And then what happens? Then, like you said, people are turning to alcohol, they turn to drugs, they turn to this, then they lose their homes. Now they're homeless. I bet you if you took
in a case that I'm conscious of in Alabama, a daughter who was the victim of CPS for much of her life. She is now a mother herself. She's a teenage mother, and she basically has hardly any maternal instincts, because basically she's been taught that family is bad. And so why would she put a lot of effort or why would she invest a lot of her emotions, a lot of her development, her energy into being a good mother when basically she had a good mother and all her mother was done? All she saw was that her mother was used as a pawn and victimized. Again, I'm not mentioning any names here, but you might actually know who I'm talking about. But
yeah, and the fact of the matter is the fear that they instill of a lot of these people that are becoming new moms for the first time don't even want to be moms because they're so afraid that their child's going to be taken. I mean, why would you want to be something and prepare yourself for something if you're afraid it's just going to be taken away from you?
Because it's a terrible thing to lose money and property, but when you lose relationships and love that you built all your hopes in life, and then what do you have left? Correct. And I mean, a couple of weeks ago, you were asking the question about, the emotional pain that these processes cause, and up to a point, I was just thinking, how naive, because it's the emotional pain is what they want you to feel, because they know that the only way they can break the family permanently is by destroying the the bond between parents and children. Only by breaking those bonds and by making people dread the investment in forming new bonds can they permanently destroy the family and make everyone basically a slave to the state, the corporate state.
Mm-hmm. And we're watching it right here firsthand happening.
Oh, I mean, everywhere. I mean, all that matters is the individual and the corporate state. And the families are expendable. The families are destructive. Families are counter to the power of the state and the wealth of corporations. Basically, hedonistic people who consume and do not think and do not feel. That is the wealth of the corporate world and the power of the socialist government. Once you start feeling, once you start caring, once you start loving your family and your neighbor, you're going to put them first. You're not going to put the state first. You're not going to put your corporations first. If you have a family bond, you're going to put your family first.
And that is the big picture here. That is the big picture. They're doing, it started with them with the fathers. They took the fathers away so that they were fatherless families. And then now they go after the single moms because they know that the single moms, time shows that to be a family needs all these working parts. You can't just be, and I'm not saying this, that people can't be single moms and be great single moms and single dads. However, it's a tough fight for them to have this way. But CPS draws that wedge in between there. Once they get the father's way, then they have the single mothers with the children. They got
you look at the history of houses. You look at the history of houses in the United States, and throughout the 19th century, the goal was to build bigger and bigger houses so that you could have large families. You could have multiple generations living together. Grandparents, their children, their grandchildren, maybe their great-grandchildren, all in the same house. And now we see in the historical parts of cities like New Orleans and Mobile, all these big houses from the 19th century are being broken up into 3 or 4 condominium units because it's all individuals and maybe a couple and one child. But basically, the concept of the large extended family living together is the enemy of the state.
Right. tiny homes take over.
Yeah.
You know, let's make this as small as possible because these houses aren't even big enough for two. Let's just make one. Each person isolate themselves, put themselves away. That way, that's it. You know, they're just boxing us out, and people need to realize that this is what this is. You know, and if they don't, then we're even more demised than we are already.
The goal is alienation of everyone from everyone else, alienation and atomization, breaking down to the soul unit of the individual. And this is just, if people are brought up basically to be antisocial and fearful of each other, all these allegations of abuse are designed to make people fear and resent each other, be suspicious of everything that they do, and to basically believe that other people are your enemies. I mean, the COVID thing was a perfect example of this. That you had to the social distancing protocol of COVID pushed people farther and farther apart. You had to be afraid of your neighbors. You had to be afraid of everyone that you went to, shopped at the same stores that you went to, instead of comparing notes and talking to people. They didn't want people to meet in public. It all fits together. They want people to be fearful of each other in every possible way.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the end of society. It's the end of society. The cornerstone, the building foundation of society is the family, the parent-child relationship. And we have destroyed it. It is the most amazing thing. Families are basically the enemy of the state. And so when you ask why are judges putting up with it, it's because judges are instructed to foster this atomization and this alienization of people. They are instructed to foster the notion of every man for himself, every woman for herself. Every child should be suspicious of his or her parents. It's how you build a society of dependence, where everyone is dependent on the government.
Mm-hmm. That's how they control. And see, the problem is this, Charles. The problem isn't not knowing it, because we're educating people that this is going on. The problem is knowing it and not doing anything about it. That's the problem. And shame on anybody who is supporting this stuff, who is, not speaking out against the Child Protective Services and what they're doing to families. I mean, we're putting it in everybody's ear. We are all saying it. They're screaming loud. There's millions of us that are doing these things, and nobody is listening. So shame on them, because this knowing and not doing anything about it is just as bad as being the person at the driver's seat and causing it. So this is where it goes back to senators, our Congress people, all of these people. I mean, you're absolutely right. This is the end of times coming. And if we don't do something about this now, then it's done. It's over. I'm going to bring out Ashley. I mean, we all know who Ashley is. She's, her family is corrupt. Her family has destroyed her. And she knows too well what we're talking about here. She's been put through the ringer with this stuff. Hey, Ashley, how are you doing tonight? Obviously not well. And I know that listening to what Charles just had to say probably didn't help anything. But, I mean, this all too well.
It's the truth, though. I have... Just hearing that is so true, because they DCFS or CPS, whatever you want to refer to them, in the state of Louisiana, those of you who do not know my story, I'm going to just give a very brief rundown. But my uncle, a Third Circuit Court of Appeal judge, I reported him for raping me at the age of 5 and sexually assaulting me until I was nearly 10. His name is Judge Guy E. Bradbury. And his brother, Johnny Bradbury, is the former executive assistant over Coastal Waters Restoration to former Governor John Bel Edwards. At the time Edwards was in office, and our current governor, Landry is also involved in the case, but they're very good friends with Edwards and his family. And the corruption is broken a law in my life. I've never done a drug in my life. I didn't touch alcohol until I was 32. I mean, like, I'm a registered nurse. Unfortunately, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and cancer and bilateral temporal lobe epilepsy and another rare condition that causes spontaneous aneurysms, all within like a 2-year period. I have 6 children and I have 3 special needs children. And I was fighting for my daughter, my special needs daughter, who has 40 medical diagnoses. She has Down syndrome, autism, she has hearing loss, she has a very rare condition called CVID, common variable immunodeficiency, where she does not produce antibodies to be able to fight off bacteria or viruses. She's worse than a cancer patient. And so she has to have life-sustaining infusions monthly. And she, especially during COVID, but she was diagnosed actually at the beginning of 2020, right before COVID hit, and had the Metaport put in her chest wall, became homebound, unbeknownst to myself, something that should not have been related. The stuff with my uncle should not have been related to what was happening, but I didn't know how well connected he was to the 21st Judicial District Court, and the parish I lived in. And so his sister-in-law works at the court system, and in the court. She works for one of the judges in the court where all this was happening. And so my daughter made World News Daily. She made Inquisitor. She made International News in 2020. Everyone was watching our case for precedent. I lost my First Amendment right for 3.5 years. The school district sued me for my First Amendment right through a corrupt judge by the name of Judge Elizabeth Wolf. And instead of her receiving any type of disciplinary action, she was elected to the First Circuit Court of Appeal. And so our taxpayers paid $100,000. Someone leaked, it was supposed to be a non-disclosure, but someone leaked it to the press. My uncle, of course, offered me $20,000 in a non-disclosure that I told him to shove where the sun doesn't shine. Because when I reported him, I did it for, I wanted justice. Unfortunately, what came from that was the kidnapping of my children. My daughter, who's exponentially disabled, was burned and bruised and strangled, had untreated head lice, had multiple skin infections, was 4.5 hours away. I was unlawfully arrested for an annoying phone call that I never made, from an unlawful Terry stop, never read me my Miranda rights. Never couldn't even call me by my name, called me by my maiden name, didn't check my ID. I could have been a twin sister for all he knew. And so put me in prison on an annoying phone call charge. Now we're homeless.
It's just,
they knew, see, their dad, my first 4 children are from a previous marriage. My last 2 children are from my last marriage. They knew that my last 2 children's dad suffered with addiction. My addiction's cheesecake, okay? Like, I mean, we all
Whose isn't?
I mean, but they've lied to him. He's at somewhere called the Bridge House in New Orleans, and which is a glorified trap house. And the director of the Division of Administrative Law, her family, they're good friends with the Edwards family. They go way back. They donate heavily. Matter of fact, if you look up her brother's obit, Gordon Matheny Jr., at the bottom it says, "In lieu of flowers, please donate to the Bridge House." That's where their father is, right? And so I don't think he even knows that we're homeless. The man that I know, I've been with him for 12 years, and he's my best friend. They threw all of our stuff out. I found out when I went to call to disconnect my electricity, the judge of the peace, who told me that he wasn't ruling against anyone in the case, and that I didn't need to come to court that day. I was very sick. My daughter was in the hospital with multifocal pneumonia, and I caught what she had, and I had been keeping him abreast of what was happening. And he said, "Don't worry about coming." He's like, "I'm not ruling against anyone. Doesn't matter if you show up or not." I have all this on audio recording. He said, it's okay. He said, "It's not going to matter neither here nor there. No one's going to show up to your house to throw you out." I filed a motion in federal court asking for injunctive relief and a stay, and pending the outcome of the federal case, because my landlord was actually a part of that because of collusion. And she's a defendant in the lawsuit. And I actually filed something at the 21st JDC where we are, and requested, just to inform them, hey, I did file this in federal court and I requested a stay, but I'm also requesting the same from the 21st, and all the judges be removed. I would like for you to sign that, that you're not going to have anything to do with the case, and that you're going to just basically leave it in the hands of the federal court. They waited to sign the document, and then now Blair Edwards, the sister-in-law of the governor, the former governor, is who took my children away without a judicial order, without a warrant, without a probable cause, without a signed, sworn, or read affidavit. She forged and perjured herself under a penalty of perjury, which is treason, and said that me and Matt, the father of my kids, appeared before her court. We've never met her in person. She didn't sign her recusal; someone else did. And yet, because of her last name and strings that can be pulled, so like now I'm somewhere in America and I can't disclose my location. Please forgive me, Darren. I just cannot do that for the safety of my children.
That's fine. I understand that. Completely.
So I'm somewhere in America right now, and like I'm between a rock and a hard place because I have a medically homebound child. I don't have much family anyway, right? But like the family I did have, they annihilated me. Everything he was saying, like, was just spot on, because even Matt, like, who is my best friend, like this behavior is just abnormal. Like, what are they telling him? I found out that DCFS went to his rehab and met with him for over 2 hours. That is not like Matt. Like, he would never do something like that. I'm like, what is he doing? Like, these people set him up, and he knows that. They set me up. He knows that. Like, I don't know the truth. I don't know what he's been told versus, like, clearly it's not the truth. Because he would never buy that. He's a very smart individual, but he also has a progressive disease of the brain that it's called encephalomalacia. So like eventually he won't be able to recognize me. I don't know if that's playing a part in what's happening, but I don't know like what truth he's been told and what's not. They threw all of our stuff away. Like, we were trashed. My whole life. Just threw it in a dumpster, like. And I found out that the Livingston Parish issued the writ of possession before my first eviction hearing ever occurred. They switched the electricity over into the landlord's name, which you have to have a writ of possession in order to obtain the permit, in order to switch the electricity. So when I called to get my electricity disconnected, and I have this phone call on audio because I record everything, cover my ass, the lady says, well, on March 28th, the electricity was switched out of your name. And I'm like, how is that even possible? She said, because they showed us a permit. The only way they were able to obtain a permit is if Livingston Parish, the city of Livingston Parish, the town of Livingston, unlawfully issued issued them a permit. Well, in order to get a permit, they would have had to show them a writ of possession, which they didn't have. We hadn't even had an eviction hearing yet. Like, it's just mind-blowing to me. Like, it is out of this world. And then, of course, we have the former governor's daughter, who's the deputy director liaison over communications to President Biden. I can't make it up. So, like, it's like, is there really justice for all?
Right.
No, there's not. No. There's not justice for all. And it's really difficult because my brain doesn't think like this. Like, I would give someone the shirt off my back. I'm an advocate by nature. I refuse, like, we made civil rights history when last year, the First Circuit Court of Appeal overturned the district court's decision, returned my First Amendment right, and railed on the district court for taking my First Amendment right without so much as a hearing. And they were using my case as precedent that day. So, like, no other parent who has a special needs kid will ever have to get a cease and desist letter in the mail. Or if they do get a cease and desist letter in the mail, because it's nothing but bullying from the school district, which, by the way, like, that's a whole nother ball of wax because they're involved with what's happened too. That they can use precedent right then and there. Like, my case is specific to, I literally lost I couldn't even report the abuse. They were zipping Peyton up in a body bag. They were zipping my disabled child up in a body bag for quote unquote compliance. And but the teacher in the case was related to Senator Rogers Pope. Her name's Ramey Pope. So, I mean, as long as you have the right last name, apparently, you know, like, and then all to protect a pedophile. My uncle's a pedophile. He didn't just sexually abuse me and rape me. He sexually abused my cousin, my first cousin, which is his only daughter. And so, like, it's mind-blowing to me that instead of protecting the innocent and making sure, and why don't we don't have trained investigators? I'm talking about detectives, not people who can go to Starbucks and work with Starbucks for 5 years and then just go to CPS and be like, hey, I'm an investigator now. I'm talking about trained police detectives who have a transparent investigation, and then ombudsmen who are third-party neutrals, who are actually third-party neutrals, not actually receiving millions of dollars from the government, from the foster care system, okay, which is what is happening in Louisiana, because the third-party neutral, and there's no third-party neutral for the children's ombudsman. We just got a children's ombudsman last year, and it's the Methodist Children's Home, which, FYI, they get foster care money. It's the foster care. So they get, like, I think it's like they got $33 million the previous year. So that's a conflict of interest. That's not a true ombudsman. So we're just going to continue to violate due process of law at the end of the day, and steal people's children and kidnap them. And like he said, break up the family and annihilate people and make sure that we alienate them as much as it's about annihilation. It's not just about alienation. It's about annihilation. And to destroy them emotionally to the point where you take care. They want people to emotionally break down to a point where you are literally suicidal. And which I'm just so stubborn, I guess, like my brain, not to say that I have not struggled emotionally, but I could never do that. Like, my kids need me. And so, but the sadness and the hopelessness does come, but I'm just like dig my feet in and just refuse to quit. And like, I'll be damned if these people are going to win. I'll be damned if these people are not going to be behind bars for the stuff that they've done to my children and my family. These people are elected officials, but because they wear a black robe and bang a gavel, well, or they're politicians because they were in an elected position. Well, guess what? That's their free card. They can just pull out their wallet like a driver's license to break the law.
Yep. It's ridiculous.
Oh.
It's just absolutely terrible. And they're getting away with this over and over and over and over and over.
But no one's doing anything. Look,
well, what?
No one's doing anything about it. My God.
What is it? So, Ashley, you're firsthand in this. What is it that can be done?
I mean, you can file a federal lawsuit. You know, like bring it to light, right? It's about bringing it to light and not keeping it in the dark, because those of you who are afraid and don't want to say anything because you don't want to rock the boat, that's what they want. So you have two choices. You can either empower the enemy or you can empower the Lord. I say the choice is yours. Like, you empower light or you empower darkness. There's no in between. And so if you keep it to yourself and you don't say anything, all you're doing is doing them a favor. Okay.
Right.
The bottom line is, I did get my children back because I refused to conform. I refused to take. When I tell you, I blew up emails. I did background check. I got online and I was like, I want to know who runs the FBI. I ran background checks on the top FBI agents, the head person in charge of the FBI. I got personal email addresses, and I emailed the dog out of Congress, the Senate. I mean, when I tell the whistleblower act, the ethics, the Federal Ethics Committee, I mean, the Supreme Court. I blew up so much, and even in my state, all my state officials, state representatives, state senators, and I didn't stop. I probably sent over, and I really am not exaggerating. Actually, I'm probably giving you less than I said. I sent a minimum of 50 emails a day. So that's a minimum, and a minimum of 200 people a day. So because I couldn't sleep until I had my children back, knowing my daughter was being abused. She was being burned and possibly sexually abused and bruised. She has a permanent damage to her right arm. And that email showing that they knew that they put this woman, they put her in the home of a felon. Miss Kellett found out about the arrest of Denise Hawkins. And then knowing that the screening council, her mom is their longtime neighbor of Denise Hawkins, right? I have a better chance of winning the lottery. Okay, that's 4.5 hours away from my home. Like, give me. And so, like, every attorney that I've reported for everything that's happened, we're not going to investigate. Shocker that you're not going to investigate. Well, how about you answer me? Because I'm like, something's not right. Like, they committed felony acts that are disbarable offenses, lied to the court, like just blatant lies. Like, because Peyton Kellett lost her quote unquote therapeutic foster home on January 30th, except Peyton wasn't moved from that home until the end of February. And so, and they blamed it on, they blamed it on me because it was my social media post, right? Except that was a lie. So, and blatantly lied to the court, submitted it to the court.
Right.
This is multiple lies. Like, the parents need to remain sober. I've never done a drug in my life. I did on my own accord, had a drug evaluation done from their place. And the guy was like, not only do you not have any history of drug abuse, you have no propensity for drug abuse. Like, you have the best score we've ever had. Like, but never reported that, like, to the court, right?
Of course not. Of course.
Like, no, like, you know, it says why I lost my children, because I pulled my older son's hair. But of course, they failed to put on there he was spanking his disabled sister with a belt because she got into something in his room. So, like, that does not meet the definition of abuse and neglect. What's so important, if I can share anything else, is that if you are in a CPS or DCFS case, you want to use their policies against them. You want to look up their policy and their procedure and everything that they should have done and they did not do. And in addition to the federal law and the state laws, you want to see where in the policy they failed and record everything, every conversation, record it. Like, I don't care, carry an extra phone with you, carry an iPad with you, whatever. Even if you have to get one of those old Radio Shack, whatever, record. That's what because I have the head over the Public Defender's Board saying, if you don't stop trying to expose public corruption, you have a 0% chance of getting your kids back. So do you want to be right, or do you want your children back?
Oh, because boy, I know that saying. So
I was like, oh, is that the game you want to play? So I turned around. I'm not very easily intimidated. If I'm intimidated, you probably should run in the other direction. So I turned around and I played it on Facebook. And within 10 days, I had my kids back. So, I mean, of course, they turned around and kidnapped my disabled son, who's an adult, shortly thereafter. Yep. Right. So it's just been one hit after another. And the fact that anyone cannot look at my case, and I did speak to a federal attorney this week, and I am very optimistic and very encouraged because she could not believe the evidence I have. She's like, you are every attorney's dream client because of the evidence that you have. Right. Because if you're in this, you need to write a timeline and you need to document everything methodically. Even if you don't have the audio recordings up to this point, everything holds up in court. Right. Everything. Okay, so dates, times, names, whomever you spoke to, whatever you remember, get a notebook out and start writing it down. And record your visits with your kids. Phone calls, record them. You know, conversations, record them. You're trying to create a paper trail. So even if you know, like, they're not, like, I knew that when I filed my grievance with the Children's Ombudsman, they would not respond. They didn't. But you know what? I still filed it because I have a responsibility.
You have it on record, right?
That's right. So now, guess what? The state of Louisiana has to answer for, well, Ms. Kellett filed a grievance with your office, but no one responded to her. She also filed multiple civil rights complaints, which is why I wrote my own case because I was blackballed from getting an attorney. I have a case pending at the United States Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit. I wrote my own case, okay? So it has not been easy. It has been hard, but I have had to read the dog out of civil law, and it is very, very, it is not black and white. Let's put it that way.
Right. It's not, words.
It's just a lot of deadlines, and it's a lot of, like, you need to make sure that everything's done a certain way, and they get you on technicalities and things like that. I'm very, very thorough, but, like, it doesn't matter. Even in being there, they will try to get out of something. If you don't know your law, and they sent me a letter trying to deactivate my case. Oh, whoop, hold up, stop it. and then they gave me the code that they cited, and I'm like, so I went right to that code, pulled it up. It wasn't even relative to what they were deactivating my case for. So I had to do the legwork for that. And so if you don't feel comfortable with that, I do encourage you to find a federal lawyer, because it's federal civil rights that is being broken and being violated, right? And it's a violation of your federal civil, it's your 14th Amendment right to be a parent without government involvement. And so, but it's not just your right, it's your children's right. You're not just advocating for you, you're advocating for your children. Do you understand that they have violated your children's right to
Right, and
yes.
That's what we keep pushing. Like, look, it's not, they're victimizing the victims. They really are.
They are.
They're taking our children from a bad situation, allegedly, and putting them into worse situations. And that's just freaking disgusting. How are they getting away with this stuff?
My daughter, she's now 8, but she was 6 at the time. Do you know that she actually, unbeknownst to herself, she had no idea she was doing this, but it was an unsigned, unsworn affidavit. The investigator in my case was fired for fabricating this stuff. Okay. But she didn't even know. She would come into the visit and she would say something that was contrary to the lie that the investigator put in this affidavit. She didn't know what she was doing, but like, I was like, bam. And I caught it on audio. Well, what are you going to do now? Like, you said Piper said da 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 da, but here's a statement completely contrary to what you're claiming. Like, she's 6 years old. She doesn't know her disabled, her disabled sister's medicines. Like, it's just stuff like that. That was everything that they tried to work. And I got to where my parish, the DCF office in my parish and the surrounding parishes wouldn't touch me with a 10-foot pole. They ended up going like 4 parishes away and sending someone from 4 parishes away. I'm like, well, too bad you don't have jurisdiction. You're going to have to like make your way out of them. That's how desperate they were. They continued to harass me, 4 people who are 4 parishes away. Like, but you have that right. You're their parent. The federal law states you can use any measure you see fit to protect your child. That is your child. That is your right. That is your inalienable right. That is your child. That is your blood. So just, it's a matter of like refusing to quit and refusing to back down, and knowing, don't let them sway you, don't let them manipulate you, and ask for discovery, ask for internal documentation, ask for internal emails, ask for internal text messages, because all of that is relevant to your case. What have they been saying about you behind your back? You should see the stuff they said about me behind my back. That was, I was shocked that the judge let that go into the record, but it was so bad about the things they were saying that he could not let it go into the record because of how awful it was, about the stuff they were communicating between one another. So you want all of that, because like there was text messages about how they could use the medicine, but then they didn't really know if it was true or not. That would be really awful. So like it was, that's an admission right there that what they put in the affidavit was a lie, saying that parents said to double Peyton's medicine, as if I would say that. That's so dumb. Right. Like, but then I have a text message, an internal text message, because we requested the discovery of all of their internal text messages between the two, all of them, and they're bam right there, evidence that shows like their conversation. They're so dumb, because when you lie like that, you don't know the person next to you's lies. You're telling the truth. Right. Yeah. Your story doesn't change because that's your kids and that's your truth. But A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, they don't know whose lie is going to protect this lie and that lie, and the lies get, the tangle web we weave. And so what happens is you're going to start catching lie after lie after lie. And before you know it, you're in a situation where you're like, hey, like, here's them lying about me. And like, they said this on the affidavit, but right here, they're talking about how they could use the medicine, but that would be really awful, so like all of a sudden that statement got that just all of a sudden just dwindled away. So it's just things like that. You just have to kind of peel it apart and see like exactly what your laws state, but the federal law is the federal law. You need to look at that too. So yeah, for sure, absolutely, we do. And all of these things are accessible online. I know that they are. You can go to a good resource for a lot of these things. I believe it's called the Children's Information Gateway. That is a really good resource, Darren. And make a report to make your report online, Office for Civil Rights Complaint.
Right.
Note it.
Okay.
Yes, like that you. Every Department of Children and Family Services, or CPS, has a civil rights section within your state that works for your department. Tell
Right.
them you want to file a civil rights complaint with the Department of Children and Family Services or Human Health, whatever is verbiage in your state. There's a civil rights section. Tell them you want to invoke your civil right and you want to file a complaint, a grievance, a formal grievance against what's happened. And
Formal grievance. Okay.
Yes, you want to file a formal grievance and continue to file formal grievances every time you find something. Every time there was a mark on Peyton, they didn't let her my other kids got to come once a week. They made her do a Zoom call. We saw her like a 1/16th of a time. We had to wait a month to see my disabled daughter, and then they made her look on a Zoom. My baby doesn't understand Zoom. She has Down syndrome, autism. She's hearing impaired, and then so she doesn't understand it. And they made her watch her siblings be loved on and touched while she was in some cold office somewhere.
Yeah.
And she was being abused, and she was begging to come home. I come home now. I come home right now. Please come get me right now. And I cannot tell you the irreparable harm and the trauma that I will probably need therapy for the rest of my life from this situation, and my children as well. So people want to say like, oh, well, I just don't know like that there's been any harm. Are you kidding me right now? Failure to state a claim, that is such a crock of shit, excuse my French, but if I've ever heard it in my life. Because how can you failure to state a claim? Like, first of all, you can't dismiss for failure to state a claim any longer because there's precedent for that. But the fact that you would rip someone's child away from them, that should be claim enough as it is, don't you think? I mean, anyway, we're without a home now, so like it's just.
So, I don't know if you've seen this one, Ashley, but Brenda says, young lady, if I have to go to Florida this coming week, you can come stay with your girl. House sit my home in Uris, Louisiana.
I'm in a different state, but
maybe I could put you in touch with. Maybe you guys could be in touch.
That would be great. Yes.
I mean,
that
we can
would be
only
great.
do.
I do know where Eunice is, though. I'm very familiar where Eunice is, and I am humbled by that offer. Thank you so much. I have 2 little girls. I have my disabled daughter, and then I have she's 10, and then I have my 8-year-old daughter. So it's just 3 of us. So
you're doing a damn fine job keeping them on, keeping them with you, like because I know the pressure and the work that they're doing against you and trying to take those children from you, and it's disgusting. And I just can't believe that there's not more people standing up and helping you. I just can't. It's just besides me. There's not more.
I've asked for help. Like, I've helped so many people, like in my life and in my career, and just like in my life in general. Like, and just asking for like, and then I really was convicted by this because I didn't want to ask for money and I didn't want to ask for help, and God convicted me. He was like, that's pride, like you shouldn't feel like that. And it's because I didn't want to be a burden to anyone, and I don't want anyone to, my case is so extraordinary. But to know that my perpetrator gets to go free and continue to torture us.
Yeah.
And I'm without a family, and I'm without, because 2 of my disabled sons are still gone, and I'm without a home, and I'm in a position where like Peyton's medically homebound. I can't. I feel stuck. I feel stuck right now. And we have 2 nights in the hotel that we're in right now, and then I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm literally living every day by faith, knowing that God has a bigger plan, and Isaiah 55 says that. So like I'm just trusting that, because that's all I can do right now. So
trust in Him. For sure. I mean, we don't understand why we're going through what we're going through, but there's got to be something that's safe for it, But as long as you're still sticking your neck out there, Ashley, and you're still fighting, that gives you give hope to a lot of other people, so that's the thing, like you have your purpose, and even though you're getting struck down by all of this badness, the good on the other side is your energy is going towards other people that need that right now. So
if I can help anybody, like if anyone wants to contact me, if they need help with anything, I would. And I'm not an attorney. Please understand that I do not profess to be an attorney. I know what I know because of what I've gone through. I was raised in law firms. My grandmother, my mom were paralegals for 30 years, but I'm head of my uncle's judge. But I'm a registered nurse. I know what I know because of reading a lot. I literally have the entire civil code procedure. And if I don't know it, I will reach out for help. But if you need help with any direction on, as far as pointing in the right direction on what to go, even if it's like finding a lawyer or whatever. I mean, I know I wouldn't put my name on it because in Louisiana especially, but I can help, draft anything if you need help with just writing a statement. If you need help, obviously. I'm not an attorney though. I don't profess to be. So this is definitely not legal advice.
Right. Hey Charles, you or Melissa have anything that you want to ask Ashley while you're here? Or any questions about her and her case? What's going on?
Well, I guess I'd just like to offer, if she wants to contact me, you know how to get in touch with me. Melissa knows how to get in touch with me, and I assume she's filing in Louisiana, and I've got some serious experience pissing off Louisiana judges too.
I need help with my Louisiana case because I don't want to lose my case, my time frame, because I have 157 defendants. I mean, it's but I have everything I've said. Like, I have proof of everything, and there's not one thing I don't have proof of. I mean, like I told you, the attorney I spoke to, she was like, her mouth was on the floor. She's like, I just can't believe you have proof of all that. Like, she's like, this is just crazy, So I haven't signed a contract with anyone or anything like that, but I would be humbled by any help, to be honest.
Yes. Well, we'll make sure that we get you guys in touch with each other. So.
Okay, I really appreciate that.
Yeah. How about you, Melissa? We haven't heard much from you. Are you there?
I want to know what's going on with Melissa's case. That's my interest. I want to know how she's doing.
Melissa's case is a shit show. No, Melissa. Wait a minute. Melissa got served with contempt of child support. You'll find this one amusing because they want me to go to court on March 11th of 2024. And I was just served with this 2 days ago.
You mean May?
Yeah, no. Right.
March. I asked one of my attorneys, I said, do you think the judge would get mad if my response started with, Your Honor, I'm sorry, my DeLorean is out of service at the moment.
I think you should do it.
Yeah, girl.
Yeah, you should do it.
Yeah, that's like my judge. That's what Judge Edwards did. She predated it. It's stamped for the December 8th, which is the day after my kids were taken. She dated it for December 13th, and it's filed again for December 19th. The order was telling us to be in court for the exact moment that she was signing the order. Mm-hmm. And we were in the waiting room. We were in the virtual waiting room. They just wouldn't let us into the courtroom.
So what you haven't heard, Ashley, is they fired all the caseworkers.
I'm sorry, what?
They fired all the caseworkers.
To give you
on a Thursday we had an ISP on a Tuesday we had an ISP meeting. We were talking about all the services, visitation, going to a park, birthday parties, blah, blah, blah. Pretty much nothing of any use or relevance. By the following Tuesday, all of a sudden, I have no caseworker because they got rid of Hannah, my caseworker. They got rid of Michelle, or Miss Mitchell, because she was the other caseworker. They both had.
Do they split y'all up, Miss? Like I know you have counties, so for us, they did the same thing to us, except they left my kids in one parish, and they put me and Matt in a different parish. Is that what they did to y'all?
No. I mean, for a while they had shipped my kids 300 miles north, but
like Peyton. Okay. That's
yeah,
exactly what they did.
but everything has remained right in Evergreen. But so they shit canned the caseworkers because both of them had given good testimony. Then the director left that was here. Now we got a new director. This woman actually seems to give a shit.
Well, that's encouraging.
She literally told me, she says, okay, what are the allegations against you? I said, there is none. She says, there's got to be something. We can't just take your kids. I said, well, you did. So I have another meeting with her next week. But
so your Sixth Amendment right has been violated like a long time ago, right to speedy trial.
the right to any trial, you mean? But
right,
speedy,
just something
I'd settle
would be
for any.
Something would be good, right?
But because this case is taking so long, my daughter ended up getting removed from the foster home due to allegations of molestation.
Oh my God. I can't.
And that was about 2 months ago. Since being removed, my daughter went from only speaking 1 to 2 words to speaking full sentences, using the bathroom normally, almost completely potty trained, happy kid, outgoing, all kinds of things that was not occurring in the prior foster home.
I'm thankful she was removed, Melissa, but the point is that she suffered because she was away from you.
But wait, it gets better. It gets better, right?
Oh yeah, it gets better, but because their case ended up being non-indication of harm, because at the point they were investigated, there's no kids in their home, therefore they couldn't look for proof of harm. But the doctor,
no, that's not how the law works.
The prior director did not want to shit can their best foster home, so they gave them a non-indication of harm.
I don't get it. But the title, listen, that Title 8, it's Title 40. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's under what is it? Title 14, Section 8, Title 42, Section 18, or I made that backwards. I'm dyslexic. Under 1983 and 1985, conspiracy against rights, right?
Yeah, I've got a complaint sitting in front of me arguing all of that stuff. That's what we're working on in my case right now.
But there's criminal. Hold on, baby. There's criminal charges with that, girl. That's my point. Like, you can't just. It's kidnapping, Melissa, by the way.
But wait, hold on, Melissa. Tell them what else is happening. Tell Ashley what else they're doing.
So
y'all make it to me, Peyton. Y'all make it to me, Peyton. Come on. Y'all want to meet Peyton? Come on.
The foster family is pissed off that they're not going to give the kids back to them, being that they was not indicated. How about the fosters filed TPR against me?
This is, oh my God, I'm so sorry. This is Peyton. Can you say hi?
Hi, Peyton.
Say hi. Hi. She calls you daddy because she hasn't seen her dad. Say Darren. Darren. You say Darren?
Hi, Peyton.
Say Darren. Good job. Say Melissa. Good job. Good job. Yes,
that's a great job, Peyton.
Charles. She said Charles.
Hi there.
Good job.
Hi, Peyton.
Good job. This is who they hurt. Like the Piper, they hurt Piper too. But like this is who was taken and separated from everyone. They burned her and they strangled her and they bruised her and she had skin infections and I don't understand how my baby survived it. She's my hero.
Well, Miss Peyton, you're a very pretty girl. And you look just like your mommy.
Thank you.
And you have a pretty smile.
Thank you. Yeah, and he does look like daddy. Darren does look like daddy. He does. He really does.
Yeah. Oh, look. She looks like her dad. She does. She has my face shape, but she looks like her daddy. He does look like daddy, though, huh? That's Mr. Darren. Say, I just need somebody to help. She wants chicken and fries, is what she's saying. I just
Chicken
need
and
somebody to help.
fries.
I want somebody. I
Well,
can't
you gotta have chicken and fries.
I know. Mommy can't afford chicken and fries right now, so. I know, baby. You want to go lay down? Are you sleepy tired? Here, take your tablet. Go night-night, okay? Okay. I love you. I love her. Okay, love you.
Hey, Ashley.
Yeah.
Text me your cash app.
Hi, Bean.
Okay, I will. She said night-night. That's we all got to meet Peyton, so she's
Yeah.
she kind of
But
busted
yeah,
up the show.
so because the Fosters are so pissed off, they have filed for TPR in custody, and then the guardian
temporary restraining order, like a TRO.
No, like terminate parental
termination
rights.
of parental rights.
How can the foster parents?
I've never heard of that either.
The state has to do that. They don't have rights to do that. Like they don't.
In my state, they do.
No, that's federal. That's federal law.
These are these new laws.
Governor Kay Ivey passed a law in 2021 giving a foster parent more rights to the children than the parents if the child has been in care greater than 1 year.
No, but well, they say that first of all, the federal law still trumps the state law, and the fact that they unlawfully took your children to begin with.
Right, nullifies the whole thing. Yeah, that's why I'm hoping I can get this director on our side. But
why is this not
the guardian ad litem just filed a motion demanding that the child be moved back with the abuser.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, what? You need to send me that info. No, I'm gonna stop you. You need to
wait a minute. Here's the part you'll love. She says they were not indicated of harm, but they refused to return the child. Well, wait a minute. I got one of those letters for non-indication of harm because there was no allegations or any claim of harm in my case. So I had the same damn letter.
But you have a right to file a police report against anyone who harms your child, no matter if they're in your care or not. And if it were me, I would be filing a police report against.
My county won't do nothing about it.
Well,
if I file a police report,
no, you're missing it, Melissa. Listen, you're missing the point. You need to go through the motions and note that they're refusing it, because that is only going to strengthen your federal case. Do you understand? Like, that's what I had to do. The Attorney General's office told me to do it, to call Monroe, right? They told, call and tell them. I know, she thinks you're her daddy. They told me to call. You can't play that right now. They told me to call and ask for a welfare check on Peyton. And then they lied to me, right? And of course, no, you can't watch that right now. And they told me that to call and ask for a welfare check and give them the names and badge numbers of anyone who would not comply. Except, unbeknownst to me, the Attorney General, who's now our governor, of course, at the time was presenting cases in front of my uncle, right? Yeah. And then the Attorney General's office said that they were, quote unquote, advised not to investigate my case. I have that on audio. So, Special Agent McCreary said that they were advised I know you want that. Hold on one second. Not to investigate my case. Give me 1 second, okay? But you have to go through the motions so that even though already know what the outcome's going to be, because when you get to court, you want to be able to say, hey, I did file this. I did contact the police. I did try to report them for abusing my child, and they refused. They did not do their job. They violated the law. Because then you know what they're going to go? They're going to try and tell you. They're going to go, well, Miss Melissa, did you call the police? Did you try to file a report against them?
Actually, I'm the one that turned in all of the proof of abuse to the department. Because it wasn't on my kid there was abuse. It was another boy some years prior. And I turned all in because when the evidence came to me, I approached Hannah, who was the caseworker, and I told her, I said, look, I don't know the Morrisons. I don't know what they don't do. I said, but they have my kid, therefore you need these. Because
Well,
if there is a risk of harm, I am concerned.
but you need to do that anyway, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, no, I'm the one that made the investigation happen.
Did you call? Let me ask you this: did you report any of your case to the Office of Inspector General for your state? Because that's who investigates.
Yes, actually, I've got the FBI, the DOJ, and a couple other 3-letter named groups that yeah.
The OIG is who inspects. That's who investigates DCFS. And
well,
so
hey, wait, Ashley, they found enough claim of discrimination that the Department of Justice had this one FBI guy take a report from us. He did his own investigation. He sent a letter to whoever the chief guy over all the judges of the state is, and told them to handle the judges' inappropriate behaviors. And well, actually, the FBI sent it to the Attorney General. The Attorney General sent it to whoever the chief of courts is, and yeah, nothing ever came of it.
But the Attorney General and the Inspector General are two separate entities. So the Attorney General advocates for the state. They're going to defend the state. The Office for Inspector General, I had to learn this along the way. I didn't know this before. The Office for Inspector General, who will actually advocate for you, that they're going to do investigations into complaints against your Department of Children and Family Services, and they will literally lodge a full force investigation. And you have so much like stuff. Your case is similar to mine as far as the corruption is concerned, and so I would implore you to contact your OIG and get on, because you can get on your online and make the complaint. And then I made the
that's how I ended up with the FBI investigating it.
So I'm sorry, my MS is so messed up right now. Is the FBI still involved in your case?
Well, they completed their report. They ended up alleging bias. They alleged discrimination, and they alleged something else. And they asked the state attorney general to pursue it criminally. The state attorney general turned it over to higher than a judicial inquiry, but actually to the head of the courts, and they asked them to do something about it. And the Judicial Inquiry Committee don't give a shit. They threw it out like just as quick as it was wrote.
I want to see your stuff too, because I'm wondering if you're like, I wonder if like you would know stuff about the crossroads of my, because Lord knows your case is so it's parallel, but then it's different. But I think, and I know we have to go, but I think that it would be beneficial for us to kind of like compare notes, because I think that there's so much I could probably learn.
Hey, from your case. Ashley, tomorrow morning we're doing an advocacy training program.
Oh, really? What time?
It starts at 10, goes till 5. And it is for people to get certified. I will be sending out a Zoom link so that people can get certified. That way you'll be able to actually help people and not be worried about practicing law without a license. Not that we really worry about that anyways.
Well, no, I just like to like say that in it just in general. I mean, I am a licensed registered nurse, but and I'm about to have my compact licensure, but I still, we're advocates. That's what we do in our job. But I would love to do that with like what you're talking about. So please send that to me. Is it free of charge, Melissa? Like I can't afford.
Yes, it's free.
Okay. Thank you, Miss Brenda. Like so much for just the encouraging words. I'm looking at all of her comments right now. I just saw them on the side. I'm so technically I can save your life.
Brenda is very good people.
I can see like all her very nice, encouraging comments, and like I really needed that right now, just because I've never doubted my faith, but like
I just feel a little hopeless right now.
It's hard, you know. They say God will not give you more than you can handle, but it seems like every day there's a new round of shit, and you know what is the human breaking point? And you know, you just have to prioritize, because you can only change the things that you have, you know, the ability to change. If you can't change it, you got to put it on the back burner till you can change it, and not let it eat at you, because it's outside of your control. And it's one of the hardest things to teach yourself to do. My friend, Dr. Hill, he's a professor of psychology. He still teaches down here at USA college and stuff. But anyways, like he was telling me, he says, Melissa, he says, you have to be one of the most professionally calm, collective, organized people going through this. He says every other parent that comes in is going crazy. He says your case is way worse than theirs, because they have nothing against you and they're raking you through the coals, and you're calm about it.
It's pride at this point. They're literally not admitting wrong, because number one, they know they're in a shit ton of trouble for what they've done.
Well, no, hey, the new director, she's admitting wrong, and she says she wants to make it right. She even told me, because she says she will be damned if some GAL is going to tell her how to do her job. And she said,
to hear that. If I see you get your kids back, I will be so encouraged by that. It's like,
and the other thing she says, Melissa, she said, because I told her, I said, look, if you're going to move the kids again, I have 2 ICPC on file. That's where they need to go, because they will be loved and cared for, so on and so forth.
they need to go home. They don't need to be moved anymore.
Right. Well, wait a minute. Hold on. What she said was, she says, but Melissa, she says, you want your kids home, right? She says, if I'm moving them again, I'm moving them home.
Praise God.
That's all right, guys.
Well, Darren, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate that.
No, thank you. But Melissa, what do you got for last words?
Never quit fighting for your children, because you are their heroes. You are the person that loves them most. You are the person that defends them most. And without a parent, every child would be lost.
Yeah.
That's true. Charles, what do you got, buddy?
He stepped into the other room for a moment.
All right. Ashley, up to you. What do you got for last words?
You know, I guess my last words are that I don't have the right to quit, because they haven't quit. And as long as my children haven't quit, I don't have a right to. And so God gave them to me for a reason. And if they're counting on me, and without my little girl Piper's always tells me, I'm afraid we'll lose you, Mama. And what would we do without you? And I always tell her, don't live in fear. But like, as long as they keep going, they've lost more than even I have, and to wrap my brain around that. And so I'm all they have. So don't, like Melissa said, don't quit. Refuse to take no for an answer. You know what's right, and you know what rights have been violated. You know that you haven't done anything wrong. Fight for your children. They need you to fight. They need you. So don't quit.
All right. Herbert.
Ashley, I've been listening to you, and you've been giving recommendations. I listened to Melissa, I listened to Brenda, I listened to Carrie, and everybody else. And one thing I deduce, and that is you guys are from different states, and CPS is not federal. So your recommendations to us from Ashley is great for your state. And Melissa, what works in your state works, what works in your state won't work. So the problem is everybody is in different states and have different oppositions. So
Herbert, let me have you look up something on that. Look up the UCCJEA.
CCJEA.
That is the
JEA.
Uniform Child Custody thing, because no part of child custody is
Enforcement Act.
no part of custody is really heard by federal. So there is a uniform federal act so that all the states have to play well together. My state laws very closely mimic her state laws or Darren's state laws, and there is very few differences on state to state, because this uniform act requires them to be so close to similar that if one court needs to intervene with another court, their laws, the statute numbers change, but the principle stays the same.
The only reason why I came up with that, because Ashley came up with an idea for you in your state, and you said, well, in your jurisdiction, that's not going to work out. And I was like,
That's just because our governor is an idiot.
The facts of the case, too.
Yeah, our governor is an idiot, and she likes giving away kids for big money because she's more worried about the money than the actual family benefit.
I think you're getting confused because what I was citing was 42 USC 1983 and 1985, which is a federal law, and it's a conspiracy against rights, against your federal rights as a parent, and that's your 14th Amendment right. Your 14th Amendment right states that you have the right to parent your child without government involvement. That's a federal law, and federal law trumps state law. That's across the board. That's for every state.
Okay.
It's the same law for everybody. Yeah.
Okay. So you should be able to appeal, or you should be able to attack it from the same angle, no matter what state you're in.
That's right. You're right. That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Charles, you got last words, buddy?
Well, I mean, I was kind of getting upset at the idea that there is still significant states' rights in this, because one of the first times I ever talked on this show, I was talking about Title 42 of the United States Code, and basically a huge part of Title 42 is the Social Security Act, and the Social Security Act includes a very large section that mandates how every state has to administer child welfare. And so it is, if you think that the states are really independent, that is basically a pre-1933 perspective. It died with the New Deal, basically, that there's any real diversity at all. Almost every feature of child custody and child welfare law, including details of fostering and child support, is mandated by federal law in great detail.
The American Safe Families Act.
American Safe Families Act, and about a dozen others, actually. And I mean, so we have. I mean, I was raising this earlier with a lawyer in Mobile, where I was saying that basically it's not just the 14th Amendment at all. It is really the First Amendment, because basically what's happened is that family law has been usurped at a federal level in a manner that mimics the establishment of religion that the First Amendment was designed to negate in the United States. Basically, we have a cradle-to-grave system of normative evaluation of family and individual life that mimics, albeit in a valueless way, it mimics the seven sacraments of the Roman Catholic and Church of England. And so basically, Title 42 has established a secular religion in the sense of normative regulation of cradle-to-grave life cycle. And anybody who doesn't think that, just go back and think what the seven sacraments are. Baptism, confirmation, marriage, have all to do with the formation and maintenance of the family, and finally extreme unction, and and confession or reconciliation. All of these things are concepts that basically
Hold on.
the federalized family code has taken over. And so I want to enhance everyone's realization that basically when you're talking about the abolition of family rights, you're talking about the establishment of a secular religion and the supplantation of religious sacraments with basically norms of socialist anti-family values in the United States. And I'm afraid that I'd have to say that it's a couple of steps away from the truth to say that the 14th Amendment mandates any family rights. The several opinions of the Supreme Court have said that there are fundamental rights that are protected by the Constitution, including the right to the care, nurturing, and custody and nurturing of children. But that's part of the Supreme Court's sort of dance of interpretation rather than actual language in the Constitution.
At least our state made it a law.
All right. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys very much for tonight. Appreciate it. Ashley, thank you. Good luck to you. I know we'll hear from you again.
Thank you.
Melissa, clear us out of here.
Okay.
All right. Well, that little girl is just too cute, guys. I am the CPS Punisher. Be safe this weekend. Good luck. We'll see you all on Monday.